Okay, good to go. I'll call the meeting to order, and the CVRD respectfully acknowledges that the proposed sewer extension south project will be constructed and operated on the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation, the traditional keepers of the lands and waters this project strives to protect. Good morning, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us. Our first item on the agenda today are the meeting minutes. Did you want to say anything first, Derry or Vince?
Yeah, I would just like to, welcome everybody. Thank you. I know this is a really busy time of year, so we really appreciate your time today. And we've got, a few things that we're going to be presenting for your information, but also hoping to really get into some good discussion this afternoon on some of the questions that are going to be put in front of this committee for decision. I don't know, do we need introductions again? Feeling? No? Okay, sounds good.
It doesn't look like it. Any new faces around the table?
That's right. Yeah, we've got our team from Current Environmental here today to present on the EIS. So do you two want to introduce yourselves? You can come up to the table right here. Yeah.
We're Dusty Sylvester.
Just push the little button there. Perfect.
Dusty Sylvester and Hannah Sangela from Current Environmental.
Great.
We launch right into our thing?
No, sorry, just a couple of minutes. Sorry, we're just getting ourselves organized. You know, it's early. I was in my car at 5:20 this morning, so bear with me. Yeah, the first item of business is are the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Any questions about the minutes? Andrew, I see you're online.
I am. We have COVID in our house, so I'm staying home.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't have it, fortunately.
Oh, that's good. If there are no questions, somebody like to make a motion to adopt the minutes? Thanks so much, Ian. Seconder? Thank you, Roseanne. Any discussion? All those in favor? And I'll just ask the online people, if we're passing a motion, if you can just raise your hand if you're opposed. Take some time to just make sure we can see you. So the motion is carried. So we will move to the presentation of the environmental report, which you all have a copy of in the agenda. And I'll turn it over to you two. And are we going to use the podium?
I think we're going to use the microphones, but we just, before we get into the presentation on the EIS, we just wanted to follow up on a few of the questions that were asked at the last meeting. So
yeah, thanks.
We've got, we've got a number of questions that we noted, and Vince is just going to kind of take you through those questions, and some of them we have answers for you today, and others we'll be looking to provide additional information at an upcoming meeting.
Great. Thank you, Derry. Yeah, so as mentioned, we noted several questions at the last committee meeting. First of those was regarding communication with residents. So we are working on putting together an update and sending that out to residents in the area early in the new year. Another question that came up was regarding alternate force main alignment options, in particular looking at the option of going under the estuary. So we looked back into the previous LWMP process, and that option or that idea was part of an option that was considered by the TACPAC at that time. And it was ultimately rejected by the steering committee. Just felt it was, they felt it was too risky to carry raw wastewater under the estuary. Further to that, WSP 2 or 3 years ago, when we were scoping the force main extension option, did take a look at that option of going under the estuary, and actually found that it would be considerably more costly than the highway alignment option that we're considering. So yeah. So yeah, in regards to apportionment of project costs, existing versus new development, we will be talking about project costs later on in this meeting. So that will be addressed in some slides further on. Same with property tax deferral. There's some information further on in the presentation on that. In regards to collection system, LPS for gravity versus gravity, we did attach a briefing note to the agenda with some additional information on LPS systems. We'll also talk more about the LPS versus gravity question later on in this meeting. In regards to collection system boundaries and other catchments, we will work on putting some more information together on that and have that ready for the next meeting. I think we'll also have some information to discuss equity between phases at that next meeting as well. And then in regards to newer septic systems and whether they would have to connect right away, we'll put together some information for the next meeting on that. What I can say is we have looked into this a little bit. There was an example we've looked at in the city of Langford where they allowed people with systems newer than 5 years old to delay connecting to the sewer until their system was either 5 years old or until their property was sold. So we're going to take a closer look at that and bring back a briefing note to the committee with some information on that. And then, yeah, were there any other questions?
Jim?
Yeah, I was going to the crossing again. You mentioned that you felt that the environmental risks were more substantial by doing that crossing there, but also that it would be cheaper to go the other route. So two good reasons, I guess, to go the other route. And I know this project kind of ends at the East Courtney side or the West Courtney side of the existing sewer siphon. Is it contemplated that at some point there will be some engineering work done, because we still do cross the estuary. In fact, we cross it at a much more critical point in my mind, being that close to the river, and you know the size and the dilution factor and all those things. But I'm wondering if it's planned for somebody to actually do a bit more detailed analysis on the existing crossing of the river.
Well, yeah, what I can say is the capacity of the siphon was investigated a few years ago, and there is a third pipe there that is currently not being used. And when that pipe is brought online, the siphon would have capacity to, I believe it was at least 2060. Yeah.
I would caution you to make sure that that third pipe is actually there. My recollection is it shows on the drawings, but it's not there.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll take a look at that.
Any other questions about these various items that came up at the last meeting?
I presume it's more appropriate, given that they've been said they'll be addressed at a later phase or a later time today. We'll save it for them.
Yeah, okay. Great. Thanks. Then maybe what we'll do is move on to the environmental impact study. Now you can join us and you're thinking at the end of the table here.
I think there's 2 microphones here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
So we'll just press the button on.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dusty Sylvester. This is Hannah Singela. We're both biologists with Current Environmental based in the Comox Valley. and we're subcontractors to WSP. We're here today to introduce the findings of our screening level environmental impact study. And it includes a discussion of the environmental factors that are included under the heading of valued components. And that's going to have an emphasis on environmentally sensitive areas that Hannah will be speaking to. And I'm going to introduce the findings of a high-level screening study of potential sources of contamination that may be affecting portions of the alignment. The value components portion includes environmental, cultural, social, historical, archaeological, and aesthetic. And today we're going to be focusing on the environmental portion. The areas of potential environmental concern are related to possible sources of contamination. And based on the findings of both of these headings, we're going to be also discussing possible mitigation strategies to limit the exposure to any negative impacts. Contaminated sites included environmental risk information system study that looked at known historical recorded incidents or other factors that have resulted in high, low, medium risk. And of the project alignment, we looked at 100 meters around the pump stations and the alignment to determine whether there was anything in close proximity that might be worth consideration. Within that area, we found there was 60 sites that were identified as possible, and we narrowed that down to 9 high-risk sites. An example here is Pump Station 1 near Royston Road and Marine Drive, represented by the green square, and those red dots nearby are high-risk sites that are associated with areas of contamination that have been remediated in the past, but were also known to have migrated from the original source. And they're in proximity to where the Pump Station 1 is meant to be located. What we recommend through this review in determining whether there is high risk is that there be a phase 2 environmental site assessment, which basically goes in and assesses the areas that we're going to be looking at establishing pump stations that are going to require significant excavation or other ground disturbances, and go in and do some sampling to figure out just exactly what is there, if anything, so we can mitigate risk that way.
Pause for 2 seconds.
I got a question. So there's been no core sampling. It's just
I know, to always sort this out.
I think we somehow got voted. There we go.
Thank Okay, so that looks good. If we go to slideshow. Can you Oh, we're up and running now.
Okay.
We got, I think, looks like Zoom is a little sleepy this morning. Yeah. Looks like
I don't know what's going on with this.
Should we stop and restart Zoom?
Yeah.
Ask everybody to rejoin.
Yeah.
want me just to tell them that.
Can send it.
We're gonna stop Zoom and rejoin. So if the people who are on Zoom now could just give us a minute or two and then try and rejoin. They're gonna love us for this.
I think